I'm going to start this video out so professional. I'm not even going to laugh really loud with a loud horse laugh at the beginning like I usually do. This is the beginning of this show.
Good job.
I've been told that
really legit.
I have been told that I start every episode off with a loud horse laugh with my mouth wide open. So
that was nice.
See us a little.
Yeah. Okay. Today we're talking about millennials. It's kind of my my drum that I like to beat because I actually work with millennials.
And you?
Oh, I am a millennial. Yeah, I am a millennial. I'm a first waver, and I work with the younger ones because I work with college students.
Yeah.
And yeah, Alicia's a millennial too.
I was actually surprised when I found out we were millennials because, like, when we were first, like, especially you, like, when we were first becoming teenagers, everybody was still obsessed with Generation X. They were talking about Generation X all the time. Mm-hmm. And I thought millennials were the kids that were, like, which they are, this too, the kids that are, like, just getting out of high school now. It's so big. I didn't realize how big it is. It's a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always figure, like, people between 1980 and 1985, or 86, depending on how you feel. It's like, whether you identify with Gen X or millennials, I always figure it's a function of which one annoys you more.
Yeah.
And Gen Xers really annoy me. So, yeah. So it's like, well, I'm probably a millennial then. I can kind of identify with millennials better. Gen Xers annoy me. So
I don't know that much about them at this point. I don't know which ones are Gen Xers.
I couldn't name any off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I printed off some things.
Clickbait!
Clickbait, because there's a lot of clickbait about millennials in church.
Clickbait survey.
Okay, I'm going to read these off and then we're going to discuss it. Okay, so this is an article, I think it was by a guy named Sam
Bernstein.
Or Sam Easton.
Easton.
Something like that, yeah. And the first one, these are reasons why he thinks that millennials are leaving the church. Let the anecdotal evidence begin. See, the problem with all of these things that people love to write about why millennials are doing whatever thing they think millennials are doing is that it's, like, especially with church, every church, it's like Leo Tolstoy's Families in Anna Karenina. Mm-hmm. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Every church is unhappy in its own way. Every unhappy church is unhappy in its own way.
And for our non-Christian friends, in case you didn't know, the present-day American church is obsessed with why millennials don't go to church.
Uh-huh.
Like,
it's past hand-wringing and it's into, like...
It seems like they either enjoy talking about it because it pisses them off and it's, like, something they can complain about and, like, bash millennials.
Yeah, or they're legitimately freaking out, like...
Or they're, like, so anxious to get, like, millennials back in that they're willing to do just, like, stupid bullshit things that millennials don't respond to anyway, just to, like,
get they're trying. But, okay, so these are the reasons he thinks. One is nobody's listening to us. And it's a really short little thing that he had to say about this. Millennials value voice and receptivity above all else. When a church forges ahead without ever asking for our input, we get the message loud and clear. Nobody cares what we think. What do you think?
I think, actually, I might have looked at this one, too, and I was looking really quick.
Yeah, because Kate unlinked to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, well, that one, if it's true... I don't know, is it actually true?
I don't...
Because if it's true, then call the
ambulance.
ambulance. But I don't think it is. I think
in some churches it probably is. Like, if you get to a really large church where finances have more of a correlation with how much voice you have with what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing.
But that's a church you should leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a millennial, so that's what I think.
My nose is really itchy.
No, I mean, yeah, when I read stuff like that, it just makes me think, like, who did they ask about this? Like,
well, this is just this guy.
Yeah.
It's like a blog post. It's not like...
But I don't know that I get that sense. Like, no one's listening to us. Like, I think, at least for myself, I understand that, like, church doesn't belong to me. Church belongs to everybody. I mean, I might want to be able to give my input, but I don't expect my input to matter more than anybody. And if 99%...
It's important to feel like you do have a place
that
where,
I can talk.
Yeah, that you can talk and that, you know, you are actually a part of it.
But this to me sounds like even more than that, like we want, like, I don't know. I mean, if you want someone to listen to you, that's fine. But if what you say isn't valid and they refuse to validate it, then don't get angry at them. Like, maybe just said a bunch of stupid stuff. And, like, don't think, you know, because maybe this will be on there, but whenever it talks about how, like, millennials are ready to lead and we're not letting them lead, it's like, yeah, well, there's 100 other people in this church. We don't have to let the 5 millennials, like, everybody can be a part of this. Like, that one always seems weird to me, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to take over. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. This one seemed funny to me too. I mean, the first one I can see because some churches I could see being like that. Like, this is how we've always done things. Yeah, you've got some ideas and you have like some different needs, but we're just going to completely ignore that because this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I can see that. But we're sick of hearing about values and mission statements.
Yes, that one is
I don't understand that.
Yes. You don't understand it?
No, you need to explain it to me because I'm like, I don't feel like I hear about mission statements very much.
I don't know. I mean, mission statements, usually each church just has one. I think, like, the word, this is, the word that I'm starting to be like, is like program or initiative.
Oh.
I get so sick of churches being like, before we can actually go do something that we know is good and that we're supposed to be doing all the time anyway, we need to have, like, 3 planning committees and we have to like plan out
how it's more like against bureaucratic mechanisms getting in the way of actually
I don't even know if it's always
like
bureaucratic. I think maybe sometimes it's a tool that maybe pastors use to try to get people involved. Like, I know you guys aren't out helping the poor, so we're going to start this thing, and it's on Tuesdays, it's planned, I can tell you where to show up. But to me,
make
like,
it easier for
but then it starts to get about like weird stuff and just annoying. I don't know, like we wanna have, instead of just having a good culture in your church where like what that article that was on the RDS magazine, instead of just having like discipleship just happen on its own, to be like, we're going to start a discipleship program, and like instead of like there being a culture where people just through talking to their pastor and hearing the sermons learn that they should be praying or helping. Yeah, that's what irritates me about it. It's like, come on guys, we all know what we're supposed to do. Like, do we have to have a bunch of meetings about when and how we're going to, like, why don't we just go do it? Like, that's what I start to get irritated.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I didn't know what, because he doesn't really talk about what exactly he means.
Instead of us just having a good, healthy culture in our churches, we're just constantly like having meetings to talk about, I don't know, what and where and how we should be doing stuff, and it starts to...
Yeah, it gets tricky with... I've been thinking lately about what to do when there's problems in your church culture, because, you know, that there's that saying about, you know, that I don't know, some pastor talking about when somebody says that the church hurt them, he asks, you know, who the person in the church. But it's not as, you know, as if a church can't hurt people, only people in the church can hurt people.
Well, I think a lot of people where the real damage happens is where, like, somebody, like, hurt me, sometimes even in a criminal way, and then the fault of the church as a whole was what was done about it.
Yeah.
When I brought it up, when I brought it to light, what happened?
Like,
did you take me in a back room and get rid of them, or did we all deal with it?
Yeah. Or like even stuff as simple as, you know, like how different groups of people are talked about publicly in the church. Yeah, one individual might have said a particular thing, but is it really them hurting that, you know, the individual, if the church's culture as a whole accepts that this is how we talk about this particular, you know, it's not, because once you have a culture, it's bigger than the sum of its parts, and it's hard to turn it around. So maybe sometimes, you know, initiatives, maybe people feel helpful. I don't know. I don't justify,
you know, like initiatives and programs and emphasis. That's the other word. Like, we're having a prayer emphasis. Like, those words, I don't even think it's like the pastor's fault that these annoying things happen in church. I think probably sometimes it is just, they're just trying to find a way to get people to actually engage and actually be responsible and actually do this stuff. It's not their fault. It all really annoys me. I usually feel like, well, can't I just skip all the meetings? And like, can you just tell me when you're actually getting to it?
Then there are people like me who actually do just skip all the meetings. We don't have many meetings though, so it's easy. We have like a business meeting a year, and I'm not a member, so I don't even have to feel guilty that I don't go.
I almost forgot the word emphasis, but in Cog 7 that might even be the one that they use the most.
Yeah, I do hear
emphasis. Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one? Helping the poor isn't a priority. Which as a point, I don't really. I feel like churches could do more, but like I feel like my individual church could do more. But we do stuff.
And I also feel like that is actually a really weird reason to leave a church, because in most churches, if they aren't actually doing a lot to help the poor, it's
if you bring it up, then some people will be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'll go with you."
Just start a committee. And have a meeting and go help them. Yeah, so it's like, I'm mad that we don't have a program for this. Go tell your pastor. He'll be super excited.
Do it. It's not like they're going to be like, no. Well, actually, I have heard some cases where I had some friends that they were going to go make sandwiches and just pass them out in the park. And one of the ladies from the church was like, you can't do that.
Why?
That's, you need permitting and stuff like that to do that. And
no.
they were like,
don't publicize. What homeless person is going to report you?
And there are some cities that have stuff like that too. Like they don't want homeless people congregating anywhere.
They don't want you attracting them to their area. Yeah. But what are the chances? Like you said, like what are the chances you're going to get?
But it's easier. It's one of those clear-cut cases of it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Just go do it.
Yeah.
But I did like in his elaboration. My heart is broken for how radically self-centered and utterly American our institution has become. I can't kind of get on board with that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's in the church so much as outside of, like, Christianity, outside of the church, like, more personal practice. How, so much of Christianity is, like, consumerism. Is you signal your Christianness by buying the right Christian things. And that's such an American thing. That you go, that so much of our identity as Americans is built by how we spend our money and what we spend it on and what we persons and stuff like that, where it's our Christianity gets sucked into that.
There's
a book. It's called Shopping for Meaningful Lives by Bruce Rittenhouse, and everybody should go out and read it like this second.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's a little academic, but it's really good.
Good.
It's really good. Okay, but sorry, go ahead.
It went.
Sorry.
No, but it's still there. I'm just gonna have to sound like retarded for a second. Talk about something else. I can't think about it. Okay. Sorry. No, it's something about, you were saying, like, it's about consumerism. I was going to say, also, like, individually, as Christians, sometimes I feel like a lot of us, we see Christianity as, like, we're making an investment and we're waiting for that payout. And the payout we're waiting for is to finally have that, like, that peace, that joy, that we're waiting for the fruits of the Spirit. And so, like, we keep making our deposits of, like, and to me, that's like a weird. It's so skewed because, what you owe God, whether you get to feel the good feelings you want to feel or not. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't ask God for the Holy Spirit, and that we shouldn't ever.
We're encouraged to have the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah, it's not that those things are bad, but sometimes I feel
like viewing them as commodities
we view them as commodidies, and it gets to the point where it's like, it's almost like an imaginary, like Bitcoin, like, like God doesn't have to be real. I don't need God to be a real person. I just need to know that if I
make it into the system,
that these good things will come back out. Yeah. And so God's not really a person to us. It's not personal anymore. We're just making our deposits and waiting for
dividends.
Yep. I don't know if that's an American thing or not, but it wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me either. Because so many of our metaphors are based on financial, like the way our financial system works.
Yeah.
We're really, really gung-ho about that capitalism. Okay.
Well, it's good.
It served us well in many ways. Okay, the next one is, we're tired of you blaming the culture. Is there any part of this that's...
For why people leave? Or just for, like, hell in a handbasket?
No, yeah, like why millennials don't hang around. Because I can kind of identify with this one because there was a certain point where I actually more or less consciously thought to myself, you know what? I've listened to the church complain my entire life about music that isn't slow and clothing that isn't like this and all these other things that are really not that meanul where it was like, you know what, I'm just not going to listen to your complaints about this anymore because I got to live my life and you complain about everything.
Yeah, I guess the other reason why I can agree with that one too is kind of along the lines of one of the things I think about a lot about how like because you know America is finally not being so convenient for Christianity and so preferential to Christianity, Christians are getting like really pissed off at people, and so they start to get like personally pissed off when people sin, where it's like I'm pretty sure like Jesus encouraged us to see them as lost and blind and sinking and dying and you know, and the Bible doesn't say.
I'm pretty sure they're not thinking of you personally sticking it to you.
Well, and I don't think I mean is the goal of this earth for America to maintain preferential to Christians right now, or is the point of this earth for us to understand Jesus and help other people understand, like, what's your heart? Like, is your heart for, like, the United States to stay a Christian country, or is your heart for humanity to find Jesus? Like, and that's where I say
those aren't. Like
when you spend all your time, like, yelling
I think
at
a lot
culture,
of people think those are one and the same. That, like, if America stops being, like, culturally Christian, that the world will lose this major political light and power for Christianity.
I mean,
which I don't
ways,
agree with,
in some
but
ways it might be
some
right.
people see it that way. Yeah, in some ways.
But even if you see it that way, I don't feel like that gives you cause to have such a bad attitude towards people that aren't Christians.
Because it's like winning the...
I just feel like they're all sitting around yelling about, or like grumbling about these people, and like, well, once you believe in Jesus, a big portion of the point of your existence is supposed to be, you know, caring about those people, you know. Oops, sorry. Text message.
I suddenly realized that I've been sitting here looking profoundly uncomfortable.
Were you profoundly uncomfortable?
No, I wasn't, but
then
my face was doing it. Well, I suddenly noticed that I had that... You know when Kermit is upset about stuff?
But he does this thing. Or is it with the mouth?
With the mouth thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't turn my ringer off. My ringtone's from Sword Art Online. Anyone needs to know. So watch the anime. Okay, anyways.
Oh, and I feel like, where did the top go?
This is the second time. And it's so hot in here, and I wish we could have a fan, but I know then you'd be able to hear the fan the whole time. I don't have AC.
That's what it was. I feel like when it comes to blaming the culture, that sometimes it's even more essential than that, because I've actually, known people that didn't think there was any justification for like studying literature at all. It's like this very intense utilitarianism where it's like, if we cannot see the utility of this for the kingdom in like 3-point sermon form, then obviously it has no value.
If the King James is good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me.
Where it's like, sometimes you just like something, or you feel like it has some kind of good for you in the culture, and you don't have to justify how Jesus loves it.
Well, and then, I think one of the good things that I was taught in church when I was, like, very young, like, something that helped me in life that I learned in church as a young, was that all truth is God's truth. And so, it doesn't mean that you consume, like, evil just to get the little bits of good that might be in it. Yeah. But at the same time, when somebody makes something and it's beautiful, if it's not like Christ-centered, you don't have to be like, no, I reject it. Like, no, it was like if their God-given creativity and brilliance that made them make that, and there's like you don't have to deny the beauty that you see around you, but I think sometimes kind of along the lines of what you're saying, people say like, oh, you know, it's kind of dangerous to like get too far out of the fold and experience anything. It makes me think of Miss Congeniality. She said they were Satan's panties. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, what's the next one? The "you can't sit with us" effect.
Do you think that's real? I mean, that's probably church to church a problem.
Yeah, and I think it's a person-to-person thing. Because one of the things that's started to strike me about when people leave church is that a lot of the times the issues that drive them away are not ones that are clear to anybody else that they're happening. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like, because I've known people that left, like churches that I was involved with because, or, you know, at least temporarily because they found them really, really cliquey and they felt really socially isolated and like actively snubbed and stuff like that. And I never would have guessed that they'd felt that way because I wasn't being treated that way. And then people, you know, will get really defensive of the church, like, oh no, well, they're just, you know, they're making that up because of something. And you don't necessarily, not everybody's going to have the same experience in every church.
Yeah, not everybody's going to be treated the same.
Yeah.
And it's also hard, I mean, I guess that's one of those things where if somebody expresses that to you, all the best you can do is just you try to make sure you treat them well, because I mean some people are super sensitive, but at the same time some people are really judgmental and jerks. So and
they feel free to be that way to a certain subset of people, and nobody else will know that they're like that.
And if you weren't actually there to see what happened, you can't really tell.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes too, though, like one of the things that kind of irritates me sometimes with people who aren't Christians when they talk about that stuff is that like maybe it's fair, but I feel like non-Christians will judge the church because it's full of people. You know what I mean? Like they think they're going to walk in there and they're just going to find a whole bunch of people who are like totally living life the way Jesus wanted them to.
In a way that's kind of beautifully naive.
Yeah. But you know, and the thing is,
I wish that was true.
On the one hand, you can fault us for being full of just a bunch of like grumpy, selfish people. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, but listen, like, church has to be open to grumpy, selfish people need church. So, I mean, I wish you could walk in.
Where is it? Is that Romans where it says, hey, not many noble people were called? I mean, look, you know.
Yeah.
How many great, not many noble. You're the, basically you're the dregs. So.
And maybe people's expectations wouldn't get dashed so much if Christians would just realize that they suck just as much as everybody else and quit thinking that they're actually better than everybody else. Like, maybe we're actually advertising ourselves that way. As a, like, come meet all the superhumans. We're just a bunch of tiny Jesuses and we know everything. And then people show up and they're like, you guys are jerks like everyone else. Like, maybe if we quit advertising it that way, they'd quit coming in and being like, this isn't what I thought.
Oh gosh, excuse me. I was eating crackers before we started.
Oh man, he said like you've been drinking in like a 1950s Disney cartoon.
Yeah, that's what it sounds. Okay, are we done beating that horse?
Sure.
Okay. The next one is distrust and misallocation of resources.
That one to me probably...
We want painstaking transparency. We want to see on the church homepage a document where we can track every dollar because it's not like the staff have nothing else to do.
Well,
They didn't say that part about it.
Is this one, do you think specifically about like how people are like rediscovering how screwed up like televangelists and like mega church pastors are?
This has never really been an issue.
In like tiny little churches. Plus, I mean,
I guess if you were in a really big church where like it's taking in millions and millions of dollars, you would want to be like, hey, how much are we paying? Or
a church where they're constantly pressuring you to give money.
Yeah.
But like our little church, our church is so small, we don't even pass an offering plate. We just have a box in the back, and like even us, like anytime you want, you can ask the treasurer, and she'll tell you how much money we have. And once a year, we print it out and give it to you, and say like, this is how much came in. This is how much went out.
Yeah, I think our church has a little bar graph that they update monthly on the bulletin board at the back of the church, showing how far behind we are in the budget.
We are
never ahead. We're always
it's in their best interest to be transparent, so they can guilt you into helping them more. That's funny.
But I guess maybe some churches aren't like that. And
yeah.
if I didn't know,
churches with money probably aren't like that.
We want to be mentored, not preached at.
That's only somewhat true. I
don't understand the whole mentorship thing. Like I'm on discussion boards where younger people are like, we just want to be mentored, and I don't understand it at all. Because I just, maybe it's just that I'm so independent, and I have we have a really good mom. Where that if I have questions about things I can go to, and I don't have mentors, I have friends. I have older women who I'm friends with.
Yeah. I don't like the word mentoring, and I don't like it.
Suggests a hierarchy that I just don't experience in
relationships. On that message board that we were both a part of, I think I was even one of the first people that kind of accidentally started the conversation in the direction of discipleship.
I didn't even see your comments.
But my first one was super snarky. And then my second one,
of course it was.
Yeah, but I don't like it when the word mentoring ends up being the word discipleship. Mentoring is not what I mean by discipleship, because I don't like it when discipleship gets separated by gender. And with mentoring, that's one place where it really, because I remember when Andrew first came to our church, one of the things that I had told him was I don't even like to hear the word discipleship brought up in church, because a lot of times when it comes to church service and discipleship, women get pushed in the kitchen and the nursery. And it's not that I don't want close relationships with Christian women, it's just that I don't like mentoring to be the only system for discipleship, because then I feel like they expect me to go learn how to be a woman from a woman, and not just a Christian from a Christian.
Most of the older women in my church were stay-at-home moms, and that's not what my life looks like. So it's kind of I'm sure they have lots of insights that I could get, but I feel like our lives are very different. Where it's not like I can go and be like, I have this exact situation. What should I do?
I know that I am not good at I was going to say, when you're saying, we're not good at towing party lines, I'm not good at towing the gender line. I'm not good at that, but I just don't, it's every time where they, people are always saying, as a Christian man, you should, be in contact with older Christian men, and you should be having contact and helping the younger Christian men.
I hear that, and I hear, make sure that you're keeping the patriarchy structure intact.
Well, they say it to women, too. They'll say, as a Christian woman, you should have a mentor who's older, and you should be mentoring younger girls. And I'm always like, what if I want an older man to be teaching me about the Bible? And what if I want to talk to younger people about what you think this is not what they're trying to say. It's not. It's me getting right up.
I always hear different things from
maybe. This is not what they're trying to say, but it's because somehow my understanding of the Bible is going to be dictated by my gender, so the person who's going to be able to unlock the most for me is going to be a woman, and the only people who could understand what I have to pass down is other women, as if it's not just just people, not men and women, but just people who have understanding of the Bible, and what do they think, that men have one secret understanding and women have another, and that it'll just be lost in translation if you try to talk to somebody about I don't know. And
I understand that people are concerned about what happen when you have one-on-one relationships.
But I don't want a male Christian mentor that I can go
I don't want to
talk in his car with him on a dark street at 3 a.m. in the morning. Email is fine. I just want to talk about the Bible.
I like to do it in groups anyway, because it's more fun to have. The more people you have to argue with, the more fun.
Well, and I want to be. I love having women that I'm friends with, but I do think probably sometimes. I hope I'm not that crazy old lady in my church someday who corners the pastor after the sermon every week. But a lot of times, the people that I tend to I want to talk to you right now. it's time to talk. I usually tend to go towards men because I usually try to find somebody whose job is actually, they've gotten to go to school to study about the Bible. Because they're the people who actually know stuff I don't know yet.
Yep.
And just like lay people, how many of them, I can talk to them, but I'm usually wanting some like new information. Makes me get fondler fingers. You read smart books. I don't have time to read them. Just tell me what they say.
Want to do the next one?
Sure.
Oh, where is it? This one seems like we want to feel valued, which just seems like another iteration of the. Oh, it's like this kind of ties into what we said on blaming the culture too, where it's like millennials getting blamed for being
a bad rap.
What they are. Yeah, which I get, because that's kind of how I always felt. Like, you complain about everything we do, so I'm just gonna stop this. Okay, so what's the next one? We want you to talk to us about controversial issues because no one is.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all.
I feel like
everyone is.
Everyone is. I don't want any more people to talk to me about controversial
Everyone of
issues.
every generation is talking about it all the time.
Don't want to hear about it. Don't need it. If I want it, I'll go to Facebook and I hit the hide button on everything political, and I've stopped seeing it. All I see are recipes, kittens, and babies now. It's awesome. I've discovered the secret. The public perception.
Of the church?
Yeah. It says, it's time to focus on changing the public perception of the church within the community. The neighbors, the city, and the people around our church buildings should be audibly thankful the congregation is part of their neighborhood. We should be serving the crap out of them.
I do think sometimes that might be a good way to gauge whether you as like a group of believers are actually doing a good job or not, is whether the community actually, feels like you'd help them or is glad that you're there. Yeah.
Or whether they're annoyed that your car.
I gotta say though, I was just messaging one of our friends today, and I was telling her, at this point, because I was talking to her about guilt, and about how, I feel guilty like so much of the time, and I've had conversations with Gabe about it, about how I think in general more of a woman thing. So like it's not enough for me in order to feel like I'm okay and the way I'm living is okay, to feel like I'm just not doing anything bad. Like I feel like I have to be producing good or I freak out. And that's very stressful for me right now because I work 40 hours a week at a job 45 minutes away, and I have 2 young children. So I have zero I get home at 6, my kids go to bed at 8, and then Gabe gets up at 4:30 in the morning, so I have to go to bed by like 10 at the very latest. So I was telling her today, I have a job, and I think that's fine. I think people who don't have full-time jobs, maybe my part can be to give them money so that they can do these. I don't have time to work for a charity. No. It would be more cost-effective.
I've tried starting a couple times, and every time it's been like,
even if I decided that I was going to go and spend some hours volunteering every week, I could give them 3 or 4 hours tops. It just seems more cost effective if I just give them money. Give people who actually have time to do this stuff, just give them some money. So I think that's what I'm gonna start doing.
Every little cog's got its place in the machine.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have more money than you have time, and sometimes you have more time than you have money.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes you don't have either, but
that's okay. Well, then you're the poor person that they should be coming in.
There you go. Everybody's got their place. Their role in this operation. Yeah. Okay, stop talking about us unless you're actually going to do something. So I guess that's kind of like stop complaining about us.
Yeah.
Okay. You're failing to adapt is number 12. Here's the bottom line, church. You aren't reaching millennials. Enough with the excuses and the blame. We need to accept reality and intentionally move toward this generation that is terrifyingly anti-church. I don't think that's really very helpful. No. It might be true, but it's so broad that Because, I mean, church is a really big thing.
Yeah.
And it's anything that's going to happen that's meaningful, each church has to figure out for itself. And yeah, maybe some of them don't want to adapt, but it's hard business figuring out how to adapt.
I don't like telling them that they needed to adapt, because once again, like, anything gimmicky, anything that we can tell is super intentional, marketed towards us, we can sense that. We can tell, and we don't like it.
That would probably be my top thing is if I feel like I'm being marketed to, because everybody's marketing to me. I don't want my spiritual stuff being commodified.
And that's why I don't think people.
Because I don't think that those two realms should be mixed.
I think church, if you just, whatever it is that you are, you don't have to worry about, being exactly what everyone is looking for, because I do think that the people who are actually looking, what they're looking for is people who actually have a good belief and live it out in a good way. And, it's just like...
And have some kind of love.
Yeah. I guarantee that if you, and I know we're not going to use the word authentic, but if you have a healthy church and it's super traditional, if the actual spirit of your church is really healthy and God and Jesus are there, then people who are looking will find you. And if people aren't looking, there's no gimmick or program or initiative that you can push on them to get them to come in. They're not looking, and they don't like marketing. So just don't worry about it. Be good to people in your everyday lives. Take care of people. Help people out when they need it. Actually be a good person, and when people are really looking, they'll find you. That's what I think.
That was that whole article. So this is the second one. It's from CBN News, and it's called I actually printed the title on this one.
What's CBN?
CBN. My best guess is Christian Broadcasting Network.
News Network?
That was my...
Network News?
Network News.
Okay.
That's my best guess. I probably should have looked, but I just stuck Millennials Church Reasons into Google search, and then I took whatever the interwebs spewed out at me. Okay, this is called The Real Reasons Why Millennials Aren't Going to Church, and it's not because they hate Jesus. Did anybody think that? No. Okay, and they only had 3, and they didn't number them, bless their hearts, because, clickbait. They want rich content. While many churches think they need flashing lights and a worship concert to attract the younger generation, Rayner says, whoever Rayner is, Lifeway Christian Resources, Tom Rayner. Or Thom Rayner, I'm not sure how you say it.
Is it T-H-O-M?
It's T-H-O-M, I think it's Tom.
Thomas.
Rayner says that is simply not true. Millennials want a worship service that is contemplative and theologically rich, which I can get behind.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say too. It's like if the spirit's there, the style really doesn't matter.
I actually really like hymns more than a lot of
I actually really like hymns too.
But not the ones...
Get your knees acquainted with the hard and, what is it, cold and stony ground.
Wait, what?
There's a hymn in the Cog 7 hymnal. And one day when Ket still lived around here, we were at church in Owasso, and we were singing this, and we were like, this is the most depressing thing I've ever heard. And I think there's a whole verse about how, like, you better cling to Jesus because you're old and you're going to die any minute. And that I might be making that part up. But one of the lines of the chorus is
that sounds like a hymn I'd like.
The part of the chorus is, get your knees acquainted with the cold and stony ground. It's pretty good. Yep.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
How you actually like hymns.
Oh, I do actually like hymns. I don't tend to like the same hymns as other, like, older people, though, I've noticed, because they love
I'm on the
Jericho
sunny side.
Road. I'm on the sunny side.
Royal Telephone.
In Canaan's Land.
Camping in Canaan's Land, yeah.
I understand that to them that this is praise and worship, but I just feel like I feel like younger people get criticized for wanting to sing the songs that are fun, and I'm always like, Jericho Road! You want to sing it because it's fun, and there's not really anything wrong with that. It's just I don't particularly love it.
My favorite...
I'll just sit there and listen.
My favorite is probably Be Still My Soul. I do like Lily of the Valley
I don't know if I know that one.
Do, 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 do. It's a little bit fun. I have found a friend in Jesus.
Oh, yeah, I do like that one. I used to
that.
sing that in Lodi all the time.
And I like Crown Him with Many Crowns. And I like to look, hymns are hilarious when you look at the sheet music because it's just like chord for everything.
It's a lot of room for interpretation. I like All Hail the Power of Jesus'
Yeah, me
Name.
too.
I love that one. And Holy, 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 and a bunch of Christmas ones. I like Hark the Herald Angels Sing. It's one of my favorite ones. What's one of those other ones that's like Joy to the World? That's the one I love, Joy to the World. But of course, we don't get to sing those very often at Church of God Sundays. We don't do Christmas. We suspect.
We sang the Holy Night in our church, but it wasn't in December. But they were like, we need to start integrating some of these really good like Christmas praise songs.
Nice.
And then they started with the Holy Night. I was like, you guys, like, this is the hardest one. I was like, why did we start with this? But it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. Anyways. It's hard to sing.
Okay, what's the next one? They don't want to be lied to. Because older people really want to be lied to was my first instinct.
Sometimes older people need to be lied to.
Oh, and here's our favorite thing. Another thing that will bring millennials into church is basic authenticity. I mean, so that's what they mean by we don't want to be lied to. I think actually what they mean is they don't want to be marketed to.
Yeah, I think so
what
too.
What they're saying is that's what.
And I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be marketed to. Make that quite clear. Okay. They want a good quality worship service. Millennials want to attend a church service that shows the leaders put time and effort into making it run smoothly. They aren't looking for a show, they're looking for dedication and excellence.
Well, I don't even know. I mean, that's probably somewhat true. I mean, our church is getting more organized, but it's not super organized. But back in the day, sometimes me and Gabe would actually pull out our phone and just like record so we could watch it later. Yeah, because the timing, there was usually like 2 very independent timings of the song, and then the poor drummer trying to like...
I've been to some of those at your church.
Yeah. Sometimes me and Gabe would just like... We're gonna watch this bad boy later.
As long as I can sing, I don't think it matters too much to me. But I do know a number, well, I know at least one other person that's in this age group that's very...
Well, I think for everybody, the thing is that you usually don't notice it when it is really organized. It's just that when it isn't, it's so distracting that you're like, oh man, like...
That makes sense.
Like, you
know... Where it's just like...
It keeps getting started.
3-4 times.
There's no fermata at the end of every single line.
That's a fermata, dang it.
No, our church, they add one to the end of every verse and chorus.
What do they add?
The bird's eye. That is the fermata, right?
Yeah, fermata.
Yeah, but at first I always thought it was the singer, and then one of the times they were like, hey, can you lead hymns? So I was like, okay, and then I realized that I think it's the piano player. She plays by ear, and she does it all the time. She's like 80, so nobody's going to complain. Mm-hmm. But then, like, it got to the end, and I went to start singing, and I was like, oh, I don't get to sing yet. Okay, now we sing. Like, she'll just do that. Like, bum.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Anyway.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all the things. What else do we want to
talk about? I don't know what else do we need to say about millennials. I think really they're not that bad.
No.
And the fact that they're leaving church isn't even necessarily so much about, it's partly about the church, but it's partly just about culture's change.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not the church's fault, and that's not millennials' fault either.
And the church can't stop it. And so that's why when I feel like the church is trying to figure out, like, well, how should we react? How should we react? The way Christians should react. Like, what are you looking for? Like, how, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
of course, I'm your sister, so
what do we need to do? Well, you need to do what you should have done even if this wasn't happening. You need to, love your neighbor, love your enemy, do good for the poor, follow the commandments.
People worry that they need to do something more because it's this particular demographic, which is fine because in our church I don't my congregation that I go to, you don't really see this happening. Mm-hmm. Very little.
Do you think people freaked out because all of a sudden everybody's grandchildren left at once and like also everybody flipped out?
Maybe. Well, I was gonna say something. What was it? It's up there somewhere.
I was gonna say, is it kind of up here so you can get it back in the middle?
It is really hot in here.
I know.
I feel like millennials get a bad rap sometimes, and I gotta say this because it's my thing. But
yeah.
Because I work with the young ones.
Yeah.
And I see how stressed they are because they talk about stuff, and it's like it's not okay to just do the college thing anymore because undergrad is the new high school.
Yeah.
And so they're like doing internships, holding down 2 jobs simultaneously, knowing that they're still accumulating massive amounts of debt because there's no funding for grants and scholarships anymore, hardly. And they're doing it like with very little complaint, relatively speaking.
In 4 years, they get to move back into their parents' basement.
Yeah, knowing that, and they're scrambling, trying to find careers before they're graduated, and they're trying to figure out how to get into grad school so that they can get jobs. Knowing that means more student debt, and that maybe the whole thing is just going to implode on them, but they don't really have much, and they're doing pretty good jobs. So let's just lay off them. They're working real hard. And those are the ones that have enough financial opportunity to, get into that track. Yeah. So, that's not even the ones that are completely stuck in working at Starbucks and trying to go to community college, trying to buy a car, all that stuff. Like I did. I was one of those failure to launches for quite a while. And look at me now!
I wasn't, but then we did move back in with Gabe's parents for like a year and a half, just so we'd be able to save up a down payment so we didn't have to buy like a piece of crap.
Yeah. We lived with my mom for our first 4 years of marriage because that was the only way we could. We didn't even have any student loans, and that was the only way we could make money to buy a house.
I read just a little bit of a couple of Pew Research Center, it was write-ups of the, things about millennials, and the first one was from 2010, so it was kind of hilarious, because the part where it talked about this May percentage are on social media, and one in 5 has posted a video of themselves online. But it said, but don't worry, because 80% of them have privacy guards on their accounts. And I was like, well, yeah, we're not animals. It was kind of funny. But one of the things that it was saying is that actually, economics is a big reason why people are getting married at older and older ages.
And having fewer kids and having kids later.
Yeah.
Because I read something, I should have printed it out, I don't remember, where this woman was saying, she was in her 30s, early 30s, and she's like, I feel like I can have a house, a 401k, or kids, any one of those. Mm-hmm. But I can't ever have, all 3 or even 2 out of 3 is never going to be an option for me.
I'm 30. I'm 31.
I don't know. Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I finally got to start a 401k 2 weeks ago. And Gabe was so excited when I got this job because he was like, you'll have a retirement. He's like, from now on, every year that you work is 1 year less that I have to work. Because when neither one of us, and he's only had a retirement he's only had a 401k for a year now. But before that, he was like, I'm going to be the only one with anything. I'm not going to get to retire until I'm 70 and my back is so bad I can't walk. And then I'll get to lay in bed for 5 years and die. So he's super excited.
It always points out to me how unbelievably blessed I have been because, I graduated without any student debt. They actually ended up...
Don't tell me they paid you.
They did. Graduate? It was the best paying job I'd ever had. They gave me a living expenses stipend because I was unemployed or underemployed and I was over 26 by the time I finished. So and this was before the funding started drying up, right before. So they gave me all this money and then I worked there as a student and then they had a full-time position opening up. They called me. I didn't even have to hunt for the temporary position.
Who got to have college as the magic ticket or the golden ticket? Was that Boomers or was that Generation X too? Because now for us too, I
think everybody thought it was Boomers and not Gen X, but now that it's so bad for Millennials, now it's wow, Gen X is upsetting.
Because now it's you have to go to college. but it's not going to get you. It's like every time that I hear people are striking for $15 for McDonald's, I always want to like go and say like, guys, like I don't have a bachelor's, but all I got was my associates, but I've had good jobs. Like you are overestimating how much the rest of us make. Like the job I have now is the first job I've ever made over $15 an hour. I have never made $15 an hour before this. It's like you're working at McDonald's, like, you just think I have a lot more money than I have. I don't. Like, I don't know. You can go to college and still make, like, $10, $12 for decades.
A lot of people do it.
Yeah.
And that's why there's the student debt crisis. That
Yeah.
people can't, you know, they have to choose between paying off their student loans or getting a house or having kids. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's not like I went to school for some crazy thing like, you know, like elephant training or something. I went for something pretty practical and I still like...
Oh, that would be a bad time to be majoring in elephant training. It's like majoring in orca training right now. Oh, it's bad times.
Is anybody training in orca training right now?
Well, I certainly hope not, because, I mean, they're trying to shut it down. Elephants, too. Oh, but sorry, you were having a thought.
What can you still train?
Horses.
Little dogs?
Little dogs.
For the circus.
And monkeys. I think you can still do monkeys.
I'm afraid of monkeys.
I don't like the monkeys.
I don't like anything that almost has people hands. They could rip your
You've got
eyeballs
kind
out
of
with
monkey
them.
hands.
Yeah, you remember when I used to love it when we lived in California and I'd get really tan in the summer and my hands would be really brown and I didn't have nail polish on. I used to like to go like this and I would call it monkey hands. Do you remember that? And I'd shove. It was a strange child. I think I was a lot weirder than I am now.
I definitely was. Sometimes I was freaking out a few months ago because I was like, I'm really normal, because I suddenly remembered what I used to be like, and I'm like, where did she go? How did I become so normal? And then I was like, that's right, I got a job in an office. And it kind of beats the normal into you.
Yeah. You're a lot more normal. But are you still pretty weird inside your head?
Yeah, I gotta hold it in a lot. We have these big boxes that we stick discard books in sometimes. And I passed it one day and I was like, all I want to do is climb into that thing, because they're about jacuzzi size, and lounge on the books and sing that duet from the Pearl Fishers. And I was like, that would be such a perfect moment. And then I was like, you know, I might be able to get away with it because this end of the place is quiet, and who would ever believe? You know, if there was one person that witnessed this, who would ever believe them? But I didn't do it because I didn't know the words to the Pearl Fisher song, and I didn't want people to think I was crazy.
I often want to learn the words to that song so I can sing it.
Is that Italian or French?
I think it's Italian, and I think it starts out something like Ensemble du Temple Saint.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I'm just about talked. I think I've said everything I
Listen, I got a text message during this. And I know I was replying, so I'm sorry. I'm really bad. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm recording a podcast. Oh, dear God. Haha. What topic? Millennials and how we aren't so bad. Oh, no. You're the worst. I said, oh my God, shut up. Why is he so grumpy about this? I'm gonna, what do you, I'm gonna tag you.
Oh, me?
I'm telling
okay,
him.
good, not me.
I'm gonna tag you.
Don't involve me in this.
Yeah, grumpy old sourpuss. Why do you assume it's so horrible?
It's awesome. This was a pretty good one, I think.
Is it, I mean, does it sound awful for us to sit in a room and talk about why millennials aren't so bad?
It does sound kind of
He probably assumes,
like you want to see pin cushions sitting around, like fluffy pin cushions.
or like maybe he thought that we were like, this is our safe place. I'm so tired of being triggered. Men can rape and they do. You know, I have a friend who saw a poster that said that in a women's clinic, so I'm not just being like really weird. Like it's an inside joke because he gave a friend a ride either to or from a free women's clinic, and he was in the waiting room, and there was a poster on the wall that said men can rape, and they do. And he was like, you can't make this stuff up unless he made it up. He's also the one that told me the white American sandwich story about.
I haven't heard that story.
He went into Subway one time, and he said this guy came in who had like this big like mud boggin truck with like a Confederate flag off the back. And he went to order a sandwich, and the girl was like, what kind of bread do you want? He said he gave her such a dirty look and was like, white? And then he told her what kind of meat. And then she said, what kind of cheese do you want? And he said, American! I want a white American sandwich!
Do you think it was... Sometimes I wonder when I see things whether...
If it was like Jackass the movie on the road trying to like punk people.
Or maybe, maybe this is some kind of performance art, like when people get on the subway at the same time and do like a song and
Flash
dance
mobs.
thing. Yeah, and then they disappear. Maybe it's like that kind of thing on the Mini.
Yeah. One awesome person, hopefully with a video camera hidden somewhere.
White American.
A white American sandwich. But every time we go through the line now and I tell them that I want Swiss cheese, Gabe tells them it's because I'm not an American. I'm going to tell you another story really quick and then we can leave. The other day, I was driving with my kids in the back seat, and I was telling Dixie that I grew up far away in California, and Evie said, yeah, Dixie, that's why Mommy's not an American. And I was like, Evie, I am an American. California is far away, but it's still part of America. And she said, Mom, I'm going to tell Dad. I was like, oh my gosh, tell him! See if I care! Yeah, he tells me I'm not American for a lot of reasons.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Okay. Alright, so that was pretty good, and we're really hot and sweaty.
Yeah, it's really warm.
It's gonna be like this all summer, so.
I gotta wear shorter sleeve shirts.
Or just, you can't see it too much in this. Anyways, it's loose, so you can't see my belly sweat.
I don't know if you can.
Otherwise, honest to goodness, there might be a line, right? Alright,
On that note.
Bye.